Hello everyone, it's Seth, probably better known as Saffron Olive, and it's time for another Instant Deck Tech. So Thursday means it's Tier 1 Thursday, and this week we are heading all the way back to Legacy to check out one of the sweetest tribal/combo decks in the format, and that is Elves. So the list we are looking at today is from Julian23. Recently took it to a 5-0 finish in a Legacy League on Magic Online. Also, Julian plays it all over the European tournament scene. Very good Elves player. Like, he's kind of associated with that deck. Anyway, congrats to Julian on his finishes with the deck. A quick reminder before we break down the deck. If you enjoy this deck and you want to see it made into videos, take a minute, click the like button, the subscribe button, leave a comment, anything you can do to support your deck, because whichever deck is most popular gets a shot at being made into videos next week. So kind of the main combo of this deck, and the basic idea, overarching theme of this deck, is to make a ton of mana really quickly, and then use that mana to win the game. And the deck is overloaded on 1-drops, and a lot of them produce mana, or do other cool tricks in one way or another. So the main combo is Heritage Druid and Nettle Sentinel. So Heritage Druid lets you tap 3 elves to make 3 mana. Nettle Sentinel untaps whenever you cast a green spell. So the basic plan here is to get a Heritage Druid and some Nettle Sentinels on the battlefield. You can tap the Nettle Sentinels, use the mana from Heritage Druid to cast a green spell, and everything in your deck is green, and that's going to untap the Nettle Sentinels to let you tap them again for 3 more mana, and this allows the deck to kind of play through its entire hand, and with the help of some other cards, its entire deck, but we'll talk more about that in a minute. The rest of the creatures, we have some other backup mana producers, so Deathrite Shaman, kind of the Swiss Army knife 1-drop, can hate on the graveyard, can gain some life, also adds mana. Birchlore Rangers is like a less powerful version of Heritage Druid. You can tap 2 elves to add a mana of any color. So this lets you tap 2 Nettle Sentinels, hopefully use that mana to pay another 1-drop, but it kind of is a backup, does the same type of tricks as your Heritage Druid can do. It's just not as powerful because it takes way more elf tapping to make the same amount of mana. And then a couple of Llanowar elves that just tap for mana. Then we have kind of the tricky elves. So Quirion Ranger is pretty sweet. 1 mana, you get a 1/1. You can bounce a forest to your hand, and you untap a creature. So this primarily helps you make even more mana. You can untap a Llanowar elves. You can untap any elf to tap it to Heritage Druid. You can also get some value with the land and something like Nissa Vital Force, which, if you ultimate it, which you can do in only 1 turn, lets you draw a card whenever you make a land drop. So you always have a land drop by bouncing it back to your hand with Quirion Ranger. You can also just use Nissa to get something back from your hand. The other combo is Wire with Symbiote, which lets you bounce an elf to your hand to untap a creature. So same type of tricks. You can take and untap a mana elf to make more mana, but you can bounce something like Elvish Visionary. You get to replay it with the mana that untaps all your Nettle Sentinels to make even more mana, draws you even more cards. The big payoff, though, is Glimpse of Nature. This is kind of what the deck is building towards. So we've talked about how with Heritage Druid and Nettle Sentinels and Birchlore Rangers and bouncing things back to your hand, you can make an insane amount of mana in this deck. If you get all 3 Nettle Sentinels on the battlefield, you're essentially infinite with mana as long as you can keep playing things. Well, if you play a Glimpse of Nature, every time you cast one of your elves, you're drawing a card, which means you basically just go through your entire deck tapping those Nettle Sentinels to get mana, casting an elf to untap them. Eventually, you're going to have a ton of mana floating because your elves are 1 mana, but you're getting 3 mana when you tap the Nettle Sentinels and you're drawing all these cards. So Glimpse lets you draw through your deck, and then the payoff is Craterhoof Behemoth. So Craterhoof Behemoth just makes all of your elves into these huge trampling threats. You cast it, it's huge and trampling itself, but you're basically going to give your entire team +10/+10 in trample or something. So that's where you dump all that mana you're making as you draw through your deck. You also have Natural Order in Green Sun Zenith to find Craterhoof, so even though you only technically have 2 Craterhoof Behemoths in your deck, it's kind of like you got 9 of them, because Natural Order and Green Sun Zenith can find them. Instead of just playing more Craterhoof Behemoths, the upside of Natural Order in Green Sun Zenith is you can find other stuff as well. On turn 2, you can tutor up one of your Nettle Sentinels or a Heritage Druid, and so forth, so there's additional value there. The rest of the deck, we get some other Green Sun Zenith targets in small numbers. So Dryad Arbor is basically in the deck, so on turn 1 you can Rampant Growth, Green Sun Zenith, X1 on turn 1, gets you a Dryad Arbor, gets you 2 mana, starts the big mana process, and then 1 Reclamation Sage. It is an elf, also just a good tutor target for Green Sun Zenith, kind of a hedge in the main deck. The mana base, Gaia's Cradle, is another one of the big payoffs. You make all these elves, you have a board full of creatures, it's going to tap for like 5, 10 mana, which can be enough to cast your Green Sun Zenith for Craterhoof all by itself. A single Pendelhaven lets you pump up your elves and kind of go beatdowns or save them in combat or from a removal spell. Cavern of Souls, make sure your elves are uncounterable. Also can make your Craterhoof uncounterable. Bunch of fetches, some bayous to help with sideboard cards, and some forests. Speaking of sideboard cards, that's where the bayous come in. We do have some black cards, and we have some sort of all-purpose disruption, make sure your opponent isn't going to ruin your plans type stuff. So Abrupt Decay can get rid of an Ensnaring Bridge, a Sword in Umezawa's Jitte, tons of things that could potentially be problematic for the deck. Thoughtseize and Cabal Therapy let you strip stuff out of your opponent's hand, maybe a Pyroclasm. Then we have some more targeted stuff. So Umezawa's Jitte is to fight against other creatures. Next, if you're in an Elf Mirror, whoever has a Jit on the battlefield is very likely going to win because you can just attack, kill all your opponent's stuff. It's really hard to block. It's just an absurd card in creature matchup, so it's a great sideboard option there. Ooze and Surgical Extraction fight Reanimator graveyard decks. Ooze might look weird, but remember, Green Sun Zenith, Natural Order, you have a ton of ways to find a single copy, so it's way more consistent than it looks. Mind Big Tap helps against Storm decks, and one of the problems with Elves is it's pretty fair. It is a combo deck, but it's not as fast as like Storm combo. It doesn't get Force of Wills and stuff like that, so Mind Big Trap is a great answer to faster combo decks that are looking to go off on turn 1 or turn 2 with Belchers and Storm cards and so forth. And that is Elves for Legacy, and that's our Instant Deck Tech for today. So thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I will talk to you soon.